Okay, good morning, third graders. We are going to continue our study of graphs, and let me see if I can even get this board a little closer to the video. There we go. Alrighty, so we're going to study this time line graphs. We've talked about pictographs and bar graphs, and how pictographs used pictures or symbols to represent the information in the table, which usually the picture had something to do with the topic. We talked about bar graphs, where you just use bars that could either go side to side or up and down to show information in comparison to each other. We learned that tally charts were the way we recorded and organized our information that we could then make pictographs or bar graphs from. We learned about circle graphs, and that circle graphs were useful when we wanted to find out a part of the whole set. We would show the information for part of a whole set in a circle graph. And then we learned about line plots yesterday, which is where we used X's on a number line to represent data. Today we're going to be talking about line graphs. And line graphs are useful because they show data and how the data changes over a course of time. So right now in your notebook, you should have chapter 7-6 written. You should have the topic of the chapter, which is line graphs, and today's date next to it. Then you should skip a line. I had to put mine kind of close because I only have this one little board to write on, but you should skip a line. Then you're going to pause the video if you need to, and you're going to copy this definition. A line graph uses lines to show how data changes over time. So pause it, copy it, and then restart it. Okay, now that you've done that, you may also want to have your textbook open to page 237, and we're going to talk about our line graph. So now that we know the definition of a line graph, that it's a graph that shows data using lines, and it shows how the data changes over time. So when we want to see a change over time, we're going to use this kind of a graph. When we want to show what part of the whole set, we would use a circle graph. So sometimes certain graphs are more useful than others for a particular topic. So let's say that the science club at our school recorded the outdoor temperature each day at 10 a.m. in the morning. And so what they did, that's this graph here. So they put all the degrees in Fahrenheit, and they labeled it degrees Fahrenheit, so we knew what unit of measure we were using. And then they marked off certain intervals. They marked it off in 5-degree intervals. So we started at 0 down the bottom. This bottom line is 0 degrees, 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Now you don't have to put the degrees in there as long as your label is there. You can, though, if you wanted to be more clear. And then they wrote the days of the week that they go to school: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now sometimes your graph will have the grids like this, but they don't always, okay? And what they do was they took the temperature at 10 o'clock on Monday, and it was 30 degrees. So they put a dot on the graph over Monday at 30 degrees. Then Tuesday at 10 o'clock, they took the temperature, and it was 25 degrees. So they put that point over Tuesday at the line that shows 25 degrees. On Wednesday at 10 o'clock, it was 35 degrees. So over Wednesday, they put a dot on the line that went across, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, the horizon, horizontal, vertical, okay? And they put it on over Wednesday at 35 degrees. Then on Thursday, it was 40 degrees. So they went over the Thursday line, across the 40, and put the dot where the two met. And then finally on Friday, it was 35. So over Friday, they went over to where it says 35 degrees and put the dot over Friday. So now you have all these dots. So what you do then is you start from the left-hand side and you connect the dots. So I'm going to connect this two, and I have a little line segment. Then I'm going to connect this two and another line segment. And then these two and another line segment. And then these two. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 line segments here connecting my 5 points. Okay? Now we can see how things changed over time. And if you were asked how you wanted to find the temperature for Tuesday, let's say, you would look for Tuesday on the grid and you would follow it up, and wherever the dot is that you stop, you go across and see what number is there. So on Tuesday, it was 25 degrees when they took the temperature at 10 o'clock. So you read across the left and then down. So you would go, you really have to go start from the bottom, otherwise you don't know which day it is, and then go up and across. Okay, so what if they wanted to find out, did the temperature increase or decrease from Monday to Tuesday? Well, here's some important information that you should also put in your notebook. So you should pause the video and put this in your notebook. What I did was I drew a line segment that goes from left to right. You read it left to right, and increasing means it goes up. It's increasing, just like it's increasing its height. Decreasing is a line segment that goes from left to right going down. Decrease, down. And then finally, if it goes left to right with no up or down, then we say there's no change in the data. Okay, so you should copy these. And if you need to, pause the video so that you can copy them. Alrighty, if you restarted your video, we're going to go back to our graph. Now, your book asks you, well, is there an increase or decrease in the temperature from Monday to Tuesday? So we look at Monday and we look at Tuesday, and we can see that this line segment goes down. So therefore, the temperature went down. If I asked you, did the temperature from Tuesday to Wednesday increase or decrease? Well, you go from here and you go up. So it increased. How about from Wednesday to Thursday? It also increased. How about from Thursday to Friday? It went down again. So we can see how it changed over time. It started out here, then it went down, then it got warm, then it got warmer yet, then it went down a little bit. So it went like up and down over time. Okay, so the line between Monday and Tuesday shows decreasing. The line segment between Tuesday and Wednesday shows increasing. Between Wednesday and Thursday shows increasing. And Thursday to Friday is decreasing in temperature. So, how did the temperature change from Tuesday to Thursday? From Tuesday to Thursday. Did it increase between those 2 days? Did it increase then decrease? Did it decrease? What did it do? Did it stay the same? Well, hopefully you said it increased. And then how do you know that? Well, because the line segment went up. That means it increased. Okay, on which day was the temperature 40 degrees? So you find 40, you go across to wherever a dot shows, a point is marked, and then you go down that line and it tells you that which day? Thursday, right. The Weather Bureau reports that the temperature will decrease 10 degrees Fahrenheit on Saturday. What will the temperature be on Saturday? So you have to look at Fridays. And Friday, the last one, if you follow it across, is 35 degrees. So if the weather forecast says it's going to be about 10 degrees lower, what could we expect to see on Saturday if we had one more line? Right, we would expect to see 25 degrees. Okay, good. All righty, let's look at this second graph. we have our title, total weekly rainfall. That's what we're going to be measuring on this second graph. This first one was the daily outdoor temperatures at 10 o'clock in the morning in degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're going to do the total weekly rainfall. That means how much rain we got in a week. And we're going to record it over 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. So we're going to label our vertical axis as inches in 2-inch increments. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's going to be our scale. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's our scale. And this time our scale is going up and down. We're going to put the number of weeks going across. So on week 1, when they measured, they saw that there were 4 inches of rain on week 1. And on week 2, we got 2 inches of rain. And week 3, we also got 2 inches of rain. And on week 4, we got 6 inches of rain. So then you plot your points on each of those. You go over the week and up to the number, and you put a mark where the 2 points intersect. Then you connect all the points, starting on the left, going to the right. So I forgot to label the bottom when I made this. If this is inches, this is the weeks. You always have to label your axis. This one is the y-axis, and that's the x-axis. And the horizontal x is the weeks. And you have to put that on there, or the person who's reading your graph doesn't know what your information represents. So now, look at this graph that the students who measured the rainfall each week on a Friday, this was the information they got, and they used a line graph to display the data. Using this graph, and if you can't see it that well, you can look on page 237. Number 4 says, what was the greatest number of inches of rainfall? So first we're looking for a number, how many inches, and then the second question says, which week had that greatest amount of rainfall? So the greatest amount is 6 inches, that's part 1, and the week that had that amount of 6 inches was week 4. So you followed the dot down to whichever week number it was. Question 5, which weeks had 2 inches of rainfall? So let's find 2 inches. We have one here and one here, so it was week 2 and week 3. Number 6, between which 2 weeks was there an increase in rainfall? Between which weeks? Between weeks 3 and 4. And how do you know? Because the line segment goes up. So that means it's increasing. And number 7, explain what happened to the rainfall between the first and second weeks. So look at that. What happened between weeks 1 and week 2 from here to here? Right, it decreased. Now, what happened between weeks 2 and 3? Did it increase or decrease? Well, hopefully you said neither, because it stayed the same. There was no change in data. On Friday of week 2, there were 2 inches of rain, and on Friday of week 3, there was also 2 inches. So the amount of rain collected that week did not change. So there was no change in data. And you know that because the line is horizontal. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. Okay, you're going to try the rest of the problems on your own.